You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hey guys, it's Space Cadets, me, Shanice, Jenna, and Bean. It's really rainy here where we're at, so you guys may hear some rain and some puppy growls, but just ignore that. Here for an episode of Space Cadets.
Hi. Has your puppo been really growly at the thunder and the lightning that we've been getting?
He's not usually growly. You guys might hear him growling throughout. I think he's more growling because the gutter outside my apartment is slightly broken, so it like makes weird noises. So that's what he's growling at, is the gutter. So, which I don't have control over, unfortunately, but yeah. So
I think my neighbor got a new dog because Hen Puppo and Penny usually don't care about like rain and loud noises or anything. But Shiloh last night, when it was like at its worst thundering, was like, I'm going to venture down the hallway for the first time in over a month. We're like, well, okay. Welcome to the bedroom.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I take that back. Penny does this thing while it's like thundering at the worst, where if I'm sitting on the couch, she'll climb up the back of the couch to try and sit on my head. Or if we're laying in bed, she makes a nest in my hair, where she's just like laying right there. And I'm like, oh, I can't move. There's a puppo trapped in my hair. Penny. There you go. So if you ever see me come in the morning and my hair is just like stuck in one spot, like, look, I tried to brush it. I had a puppy sleeping in it all night. I'm sorry.
Your hair is just shaped into a dog bed.
Yeah.
Like,
because she tries to like crawl under it sometimes, like it's a blanket. I'm like, but my hair, I don't have enough hair to be a blanket. Why don't you get under the blanket? She'll just like look at me and I'm like, I understand. Okay, I'll leave you alone. Oh my goodness. So I have a question for you guys. So like, I really want to know, what do you guys think makes like a good comic? Like, is it the characters? Is it the art? Is it like what in your opinion makes like a really good comic that like you just want to like grab and like read? Shanice, you want to go first?
Sure. So that's what makes a good comic. It's got to be the writing, because I can overlook like art that I'm not too wild about, as long as the writing, as long as there's like good pacing, there's a good plot, there's good characterization, and it nails the landing, like the end, like in regards to the ending. That's what makes a comic for me personally. And of course, if it's got like great art, then that's awesome, right? But I'm just thinking of like my favorite runs. Like I'm rereading Dennis O'Neill's The Question, since it's a big omnibus now. And for a book that came out in the 80s, like it still holds up with its themes and the issues that it addresses. And it's like, this is great, but at the same time, it's so a little like it kind of sucks that we're still facing these issues today. But it was handled so well for its time period. And if it came out today, it would still be like, this is great. This is wonderful. O'Neill, rest in peace. Like, he was a really, really talented writer. I mean, to me, that's what I guess makes a good comic, or what makes me latch on to certain comics or runs. What about you, Bean?
Well, I was just gonna ask you, like, because I feel like building a character is like so tied into writing, but like for that series specifically, the question, like, what do you feel like is your favorite part about the story that like really pulls you in?
Like just how dark and gritty it is without it being like edgy and obnoxious. Like the main character, like he isn't like your like standard superhero. Like there's a part in one of the issues he says like, yeah, when I was in college, I did a terrible thing to one of my ex-girlfriends, and he acknowledged that as like, yeah, I was young and dumb, and there's really no excuse for it, but that's something that I've still got to own up to, and I can only be, and I try to be better with each passing day. It's something like that. It's like, okay, this character, he's done some things, but it's like he's still a fascinating, complex character. And the setting of the question, Hub City, I know like we joke on here, like, Gotham, it'd be worth it despite, like Joker, like, kidnapping you after getting Starbucks or whatever. But Hub City is like worse. Like Hub City makes Gotham look like Metropolis or like a little small humble town. Like it is a crap hole. Like that's the nicest way I could say it without me being bleeped on the show. So I guess to answer your question, like it's just something about the question. It's just like a really interesting character and completely different from how I first saw him on Justice League Unlimited, because he was kind of like that kooky conspiracy theorist character. Yeah. And this one, he's like, oh, he's not like that at all. But it still works. They're both awesome characterizations of this character.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's awesome. So it's almost like kind of like the atmosphere too of like where it's set.
Right. It's very noirish. Well, it's a straight up noir, but like with big 80s like shoulders pads and mullets. And again, like takes place in the 80s, but it still is like crime story through and through with a lot of Zen philosophy. Then it's a very interesting read. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I need to put that one on my to read like soon. So
for sure. Just make a note of that real quick. Okay.
But I'm really
so what about you, Bean? What makes like a like good comic, like a comic that's just like grabs you?
I would say that like definitely on a hierarchy. I think that like me being really invested in the characters is like my top priority. And I don't know. It's so hard. As like I said, I always think of it like even if you have a really cool character, if they're not written well in the story, you're not going to care about them. So it's so hard to like organize like, and I think, I don't know, that I've been really like trying to decide, because there are stories I can think of where I'm like, oh, man, I'm reading this and like I love this character. I'm so invested in what's going to happen to them. What's going to happen. And then there's also some stories I can think of where I wasn't necessarily super excited about any certain character. I might have liked all the characters, but I still wanted to keep reading it because it was interesting. And the main one I can think about for that one, which is definitely one where like I liked a lot of the characters, but it was definitely the story and the structure that kept me going, was What's the Furthest Place from Here? Which was so interesting, but like a lot of people fell off of it because it was slow paced.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that. And I mean, and all of the characters, I mean, they're kids and they're really traumatized. So, but yeah, and I will say too that I love art style. I won't read a book just because of the art style, but sometimes I will not read a comic because of the art style. Yeah. Like I don't even know. Like, I just know that that's happened. I couldn't even tell you like a comic where I was just like, I can't do it. But
I did that.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's, and like I said, and there's some that like I don't think I've ever read a comic just for the art, but it helps.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's been a couple of them out there where I like knew nothing about it and picked it up just because it like the art looked so beautiful. And then they had a really good, storyline. They had great writing, great characters. And I was like, oh, this is like the perfect book for me, just like the all around trifecta. Because there was a book that came out last year that I was kind of excited about because, okay, so I'm just going to say it. It was Ninjak and from Valiant. And the story seemed interesting, but the art was so, I tried. I think I gave it 2 issues and I'm like, I can't read this. I'm sorry. Like, if somebody ever like tells you what's going on, I'll go and read it because it was an interesting story. It was just the art looked so blocky, I almost want to say, that it just kind of like took you out of the storyline. Like it took you out of that character where you're just kind of like, I don't see what's going on here. I'm trying to understand, but just you try. Because for me, I paint and, I draw all the time. And so if the art style is a certain way, I try, but I just won't pick it up. But yeah, it always comes down to like how the characters are written, where they're going with their story. Like, yeah, I think we all agree that it's the writing that's probably top important.
That's interesting too, like with a medium that's so like visual heavy, like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's answers was like, "Oh, it's definitely the writing," and it's sometimes like the art. It's not even like I guess bad. It's just it doesn't fit the tone of the story. So and that to me that there are some books where I just kind of dropped it because of that. It's like I would love to see this artist work on another book, but it's a little weird if like the story like it has like a fairly serious dark tone, but the art is just like super bright and it's not on purpose. It's like, okay, this is a weird combo here, but fine. It's just not for me. I'll just skip this one and just read something else. And it's not knocking against the artist. It's just not clicking. It's not meshing well.
And I feel like sometimes the art can actually be part of the story, because in Hocus Hocus, they have everything black and white except for magic. And then when they go to hell, everything's color except for, the main people that are there. Try not to spoil it, except for the people that are there because they're humans. They're not magic, and it really kind of does kind of push that like story more of it. Do you know what I mean? Like the art can definitely push the story, even if it's just something as simple as making one thing a color or, not a color. And I think that kind of another great example of that one was Mir Kandolfo's Mercy, where it really helped push the story, getting to see they used the darker colors because this was back in like early Victorian times, and you could tell the main character was, not really a vampire, not really an alien, but, similar. And, everybody else around her was kind of like darker colors, drabs, sort of like gloomy looking. And then the way that she was colored and, her companion was colored, you could tell that they definitely didn't fit in here. I see you. But I really do think like art is really important, especially like in comics, because it can take you out of it, or it can like immerse you so much that you're like the art in it and the coloring in it by itself can take on a storyline of its own.
And I guess one thing to think about too is like, I don't know if it's necessarily something that you think about, like, because when you're reading a comic, you're so into the story, but like the art can tell the story. And I wonder how many books, as far as I'm just thinking about like too, like where they'll have the spread and it's like you see the flow of conversation or like you feel like the movement because of it. And I wonder how many books there are that's like, if it hadn't had that, we wouldn't have liked it. And even though we're thinking of like the words and like the characters and like the overall story structure, like maybe without that artist doing things we didn't realize, it wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah. And I don't know who does that part. The parts people who do the bubbles, like is that also what a letterist does? Like what the letterers do? Or is that what the artist does?
That's a whole different thing. Like
oh, okay.
Which is like an art form on its own too. Because
yeah, for sure. Because letterers do not get the like not the fame, but they don't get the credit that they deserve sometimes, because people look at it like, oh, this is the artist and this is the writer, and it's like this is a team of like 10 to 15 people's like lives. Like the letterist was doing this, the person who does the lines did this, person who does coloring does this. Like, yeah. And it's just like you got to give mad props, because each step of it, I mean, sure, they're all communicating, but at the same time, everybody has this talent to make each part of it just come together so perfectly. We love you, letters and colorists and everybody who works on a book. Thank you.
Oh man. But I guess the next thing we can talk about too is that like what makes like a good character for you. Which I feel like this could definitely get into specifics of like, if a character has this,
oh man,
I like them.
Because so everybody knows some of my favorite books is Animosity and Gertrude. I hate Fairyland. I love Gertrude, and I love Jessie from Animosity. And it's just like a kid that has to take on the world and grow up like right away, but at the same time, the world's like, be a kid. But then you like the kid like looks at him and they're like, but the world is literally falling apart. And then like Gertrude from I Hate Fairyland, she's like, the queen is literally trying to get rid of me. No. And it's the same with like Baby Teeth from Aftershock as well. You know, this kid immaculately, you know, becomes pregnant, and she gives birth to the Antichrist by complete accident. And she's just like, I want to protect my baby. I guess it's kind of seeing, you know, not so much just kids, but somebody who's lived a certain way is thrown into something and they're just like, well, okay, let's burn it all down. And that's the character that gets me. What about you, Shanice?
See, it just depends on the character. If it's like if there are certain female characters, like, you know, I like for them to be competent. I like for them to actually have character development as it goes on, like not to be a fly character, not just to be there for like, if they're like a side character, not just to be there to be fridged or whatever, just to be like a fully fleshed out character. There are some female characters who I love because I relate to them on a certain level, like Jessica Jones and Alias. Carol Danvers and Reed's Run, where it's like they're just trying to get through their days. They're just trying. That's all that they're doing. I feel that it's like I get it. Like they're just trying to get through this day. They can and will make mistakes, and they acknowledge it sometimes. and they're just realistic. They're not like the how like perfect, you know, characters. They're like, oh, I am a mess, and I like those characters. They feel so real. But if it's a character like, I don't know, Superman, who's just such a good person, and if he doesn't have to rely on his fists all the time, if he can find a way to fix a problem without using violence or force, I do like that too.
Yeah.
I guess my answer is like, it just depends on the characters. Like, but bottom line, if they're like competent and they have some sort of development and there's some sort of like depth to the character, then that's perfect. 10 out of 10. I love it. I feel like this shouldn't be hard. I feel like this really shouldn't be a hard thing to do, but I don't know. It's like,
oh gosh.
But yeah, there are some books and there are some characters, granted, like, okay, for example, like Silk, when she made her debut in comics, it's like, I don't know about this one, but then when she got her own solo book with with writers and creators who knew how to actually flesh her out, it was 9-day difference. And I always tell people, like, don't let her introduction scare you off. Cindy is a really cool character. Please read her book. It's right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Read this book now.
And pretty much, yeah. The voice gets all deep like that. Just read them. Done on a few times. It works. 7 out of 10 times.
I think that's how I ended up in Silk, because like I used to come in as a customer before I started working there, and I'm like, man, I don't know what to get. And you're like, get Silk. And I'm like, okay, let me buy this.
My head starts turning around. So like, come on, like,
Silk and oh gosh, yeah. And what about you, Bean?
So I've definitely, and like this goes all the way back to me being a kid. I don't even know where this preference of mine started, but I have always really enjoyed an anti-hero. Like, honestly, like just straight up villains are sometimes my favorites. And it's not even, I think it's because like I don't have to, I know that like for some people it's very important for you to like be able to like support the character that you like and to be like, oh, you're doing a good job. And sometimes I like a character, but I'm like, yeah, they need to stop though. Like, I like them, love their whole thing. They should be in prison, but you know. But yeah, I definitely like characters that aren't always good. Like and especially like ones where, and maybe like they're trying to be good. That's also why I was like listening to Shanice talk about the question. I'm like, I need to read that one. But I definitely like characters that I really enjoy. It stresses me out. I'm reading like a novel right now that's like got a character where the writers write the characters so realistically that it makes you kind of uncomfortable, because you're like, this is like exactly what a real person would do in this scenario. Like, this is a like person who is traumatized and therefore they're acting out in this way, and you know a person would do that. But that's something that like really gets me, is like when characters have like deep flaws.
Nice. Like I'm not sure like how deep into Star Trek either one of y'all are, but it's like Captain Sisko. Like I love him because like he's like in my top 3 captains, because like there's just like that whole like show in general, like Deep Space Nine, they make decisions and choices that's, you know, if we like humans see Kirk or Picard make these decisions, like I get it, but ouch. Like big oof. But I understand. And those characters, like, they are fascinating to watch, because you're just like, I don't know if I could have done this, but oh my god, I love it. Like I like the character. This is great, but oh my god. Like,
and also quick dip into Star Trek lore, but like thinking about Sisko versus like Kirk or Picard, Sisko is running a star, like a base. Like the other two, they just fly away at the end of the episode. He's gotta like make long-term decisions, and like he's not good. He doesn't just fly away. Like there's residents there that he's trying to take care of.
They know where he sleeps at night.
Yeah. And where he's gonna be sleeping for like years. Like he's in one place.
They know how to find him if he makes the wrong choice.
There's it's like once we start talking about anti-heroes, it made me think of this show that was on CW called 100. And
oh my gosh,
it's like a CW show, so you're like, oh, it's just gonna be teen drama. And the show that starts off as like, oh, she's in a love triangle. Then like a season later, oh, she has to commit acts of, you know, genocide. So it's like, it's crazy how it goes. It just escalates. But Clark is such a fascinating character, because again, like in context, and sorry, spoilers for people who are gonna watch 100, but it's like, oh my god, the decision that she makes as a viewer, like, okay, it's smart, but
yeah,
God.
I think there was another. I think this is also. It was either NBC or CW. But it was one back in the day called the 4400, and there was this like so kind of preface the show. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but throughout all of human history, 4,400 people have been taken, and then all of a sudden they're all dropped in one spot. All 4,400 of them throughout all of history who don't know anything that happened to them at all. And they all start waking up powers. And this one lady who'd only been gone for like 4 years and was pregnant that disappeared, came back, and her husband had already remarried and she was pregnant. So he had to make a choice. Do I stay with my current wife or go back to, the wife I thought was gone? And then like he goes to make his decision. And then the ladies are like, nah, man, this is the decision we're making. Bye. And you're just like, wow, I don't think anybody could like make a decision like that without being in that moment. And I do like characters like that as well. It's like, I can't decide stuff like that. I'm sorry. And then getting to watch their like mental like fighting with themselves. You're just like, what do I do? But I can't wait to see what you do.
That's always fun. Fun for you as the viewer, not for the characters.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine. Like, if you were given a like impossible decision to do, would you like consult other people or sit there and like let it wrestle with you? Like, I'm pretty sure I would like let it wrestle with myself like an hour, and then I'd be like, okay guys, what we're talking about today is this decision. Help me. Like I would make a council. Be like, okay, we've got about 15 people here, covers everybody. What do we do?
So many.
I gotta have enough people to make a majority.
I'm definitely not that. I would wrestle with it myself until my hair fell out, and then maybe talk to one person afterwards, maybe two, but that's after I've already like made Venn diagrams and like pros and cons and like basically figured things out myself. Yeah.
What about you, Shanice?
I'm terrible at it. Like I struggle playing BioWare games where I have to be like the bad person. I look up guides before I make any decisions, so I know what the repercussions are. Because I'm like, I don't want to be. I don't want these like these lines of code to like hate me for the decisions in this run through. So I would. Oh God!
You can join a council of Jennas. How does that sound?
No, because in a council of Jennas would like turn on me because like, oh, who blew up the spaceship? It was Shanice. What? She's the only person on this council not named Jenna. Obviously, she's the baddie. She's the bad one. Obviously.
No.
You said me up to be the scapegoat.
I would be the only Jenna. Like no. Nay, I say. Y'all can make your decisions.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I think that we need to take a break so that Jenna can talk to the Council of Jennas real quick about possibly what pick of the week will be next week. She's gotta talk to them, gotta get a committee together, gotta get voting happening, and we'll be right back.
Gotta give my presentation.
Yes. Bye.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there, hi there, ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody. It's Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I am your host, Henry Kumpa. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mishmash.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in to minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey everybody, welcome to Space Cadettes.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome everyone for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody, welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. This is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
Hey everybody, I'm David Boer, the writer of Kanto, Killer Queens, and All New Firefly, and you are watching The Experience.
All right, the Council of Jenna's has allowed us to return from from break. We are back and talking about now. We talked about our favorite type of characters. Now we're going to talk about our least favorite, which I don't even know. This is a hard one. You guys know that I have 1,000 favorite things and not a lot of things I dislike.
Oh. I know
the least favorite that you know of already.
I do.
Okay.
I have a least favorite.
All right.
Like trope. So I don't know why so many, like, especially back in the day, like, writers were doing this. But even if they are a villain, we all know nobody, not even villains, hurt animals. That is my least favorite trope, is when they're trying to make somebody look super bad or make you super angry. So they, like, kick a dog or a cat. And I'm like, oh, I don't like this. And then I will literally close the book and be done with it. Like, I'm done. Don't hurt animals. We're done with this. Goodbye. And I don't know why that was such, like, I remember reading a couple of books back in the day where they're like, oh, he's so evil. Look, he kicked this dog. And I'm like, why did you think that was, like, why did you think that was the line to cross to make somebody look super evil?
Well, I don't think it has to be used every time. Like, I agree it probably is, like, overused. But I mean, that is, like, a thing of, like, most people have empathy and so they love their animals. But, like, it is a thing that, like, serial killers torture small animals. That's, like, one of the first, like, signs. And I mean, if you saw someone be mean to a dog, wouldn't you be like, that's a villain?
I'd probably just punch them in the face.
Because they're a villain in real life.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Shanice? Do you have a least favorite?
When people confuse a strong female character with her actual physical strength. So it's like, okay, she can physically beat up characters. What else is there? There's gotta be like something else to this character besides her being able to like throwing, like someone across the room. Like, yeah, that's cool, but what else? And this goes to like male characters too, but for some reason I keep saying like, oh, so-and-so's a strong female character. No, she's not. Like she's just she punches real good. That's it. Like it's something that I really don't particularly care for that at all. And of course, there are characters like who can do both, like who can physically kick butt and actually has depth to her. So I dig those characters, and unfortunately, I do see this in comics where it's like, oh well, I can have her punch someone in the throat. That should be enough. It's like, no, you gotta have more to it. You just land. I think that's my least favorite, and I guess kind of adding on to Jenna's, it's like when they establish a male, not a male, oh gosh, when they establish a character as being super bad, and he had to do just the most like, you know, like heinous things you can think of, like right off the bat. It's like, okay, I dislike. There's something in wrestling called X-Pac heat, where you, as a wrestling fan, you're supposed to boo the heel characters because they're bad. But X-Pac heat, where it's like, I'm booing you not because you're a bad character. I'm booing you because you are literally just off. I want you out of the ring. I don't want to see you anymore. I want you to go away. Like, so the adding on to Jenna's, right, I kind of feel the same way, where it's like, oh, I'm a super edgy guy, bad character. I'm going to throw a baby off a balcony. It's like, okay, you're terrible. I don't care about this.
What?
I had to think of something super heinous. Like, that's awful. But okay, what else is there? Like, if that's
if somebody throws a baby off a balcony,
nobody.
Superman punched that person.
I think of something like heinous that was like terrible, but not like. Ugh.
I thought kicking an animal was terrible. That's a whole nother level of terrible. Goodness gracious, Shanice. Is there something you want to tell us?
And so, slightly, some people might not agree with this, but like I would argue that, and for me personally, and this is definitely not my least favorite, but just talking about also like the heroes and the main characters who are set up sheerly based on like, I'm edgy, look at my cool, I got a big sword, and I wear cool clothes, and I'm gonna punch the bad guy in the face, and I'm gonna like say cute things, or like quote, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like very witty things, but like that's it. Like they have no depth. Like it's like, and I usually only see that from like, I'm not gonna name any names. When I was working in Space Cadets, like, you know, like, and that, I feel like that's just like a very like rookie young writer mistake. Like we've all had our friends be like, hey, don't you want to read my cool story? It's like your main character's primary characterization is that they punch people. And that's it. You know, like there's no depth. That's like the hero equivalent, I think, of the like edgelord villain who just does bad things because they're bad. Yeah, most times it's rare that you see that get past more than a couple of issues or like past like, you know, like preview stage. But every once in a while you do see it and you're just like, whoof. And sometimes you see it go on for a while and you're like, whoof. Whoof. But no, I don't even think that's like my, like I said, I think that's very far from being my least favorite. Like I'll still read a book even if I feel like the main character is a little like flat like that. Like they're still interesting, they're still doing cool things, but maybe they just don't have the depth I usually look for. I think what I really don't like would just be, just because they're the main character doesn't mean they're automatically interesting. Which I think is similar to that, but like some books, I just feel like I'm not that invested in the main character, and I know that's a strategy, and it's a strategy in games too, where it's like, don't put too much on your main character because you want your readers to be like viewing the world through their point of view. So you want the reader to be able to like put yourself in that role. But I'm not as much into that. You know, that's not my thing. I want an interesting character, even if I can't relate to them.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that. There's been some of my webtoons that I've been reading where they're like been like the main character for one, you know, chapter, and the next chapter it'll be like the person that was next to them, and I'm like, that is so cool to getting the like perspective of like the three main people that are not main, but you get what I mean, like the three people that we're kind of following. You get to see everybody's perspective of what's going on, and I'm like, that is cool. I wish I could see that more often.
And I feel like sometimes it's like writers want to tell a story. They see the story from a perspective and then they make up a character who fits that perspective. And sometimes the story is still really good. Like, you still really want to see the story.
Yeah.
But I would prefer that character is never going to be my favorite. It's always the side characters I want to know more about.
I was the same way with Stray Dogs. Mm-hmm. I liked Fifi, but they told us her story right away, and I was like, what are these other dogs doing before they got here? And as the series went on, they kind of explored a little bit of it, like little flashes. And I was like, this is really interesting. And it's about puppies. Oh, that series was a roller coaster and a half.
I guess that's a good question too. Is like, do you like a story? Do you guys like an origin story, or do you like being thrown in and then getting flashbacks? What's your preference? Do you have a preference?
It depends on the flow of the story. Like, okay, so I'll use two examples. So Animosity, it did like a quick version of the beginning, and then it got into the story of what was going on. And then we had things like Spider-Man, it's already happened, and then we get the flashback. With Stray Dogs, where it kind of starts halfway through the spree that's going on, but at the beginning for this one character. So I guess it depends on the flow of the story. What about you, Shanice?
So I'm assuming just for this, like if we're talking about like, I guess characters that have like decades of back issues, right? So in that case, I'd rather just be just thrown in and just have brief flashbacks to like parts of their origin. It's like, I don't have to read every single Green Arrow issue to know what happened, but if Oliver Queen is like the time on the island, if they keep referencing that, I'll definitely, I prefer that. So yeah, I guess just throw me in and just make references to like, when someone like kicked a dog or throw a baby off the balcony, just something like that. And, they don't have to show me that. They can just say it in a line. I would generally prefer that. But yeah, that's what I would prefer. Right, that's my preference. What about you, Bean?
I don't know. I'm like very conflicted because like I've also like I've heard the large amount of complaints of like how that they always redo origin stories. Like the producer is saying in the chat right now, we don't have to see Uncle Ben die every time. Yeah. Because I do feel like that's something that like they redo all the time. But I'm gonna be honest, I like to watch an origin story. I do. I like to watch it. I would be totally okay with, and I think that I don't know if they'll ever do a lot of movies where they just throw you in, because I think that a lot of audience would be like, oh no, I don't know what's going on. But I don't know, maybe they just need to get better at doing that. And then we don't have to see the pearls anymore.
Well, I mean, that's why I appreciated like the Batman from this year so much, because it's like we already know we don't need to see this poor man's parents like gunned down again. And I like how
again and again and
the slow-mo pearls like in the ground. The fact that like it started like right in year one, already established, already took out Joker and other villains, and he's still like becoming Batman. I really did appreciate that. It's like, okay, thank you. This is what I wanted here forward. Like, like I've got my criticisms of the characterization for MCU Spider-Man, but I really did like how it just started off, already had his powers. He's already working in New York.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't need to see Uncle Ben just die again.
I don't mind seeing an origin story once. We just don't need to see it 150 times.
Right. Yeah. If it's for like a big superhero, there's no need. Everybody knows the origin at this point, but
everybody.
Right.
Let's get the origin story of the Ratcatcher released in theaters blockbuster style gross rats. Come on.
Just once, because we won't need to see it again. Oh,
like we've already seen, like, you know, we call them like flying rats. We might as well see like actual rats just popping and helping like rob banks. I'd be down for this. 90 minutes of rats.
I'm gonna need like 5 minutes before we do this movie. Like, we're all gonna go to the movie theater to watch this movie, and I'm like, you know what? I need 5 minutes before we walk into that movie theater.
Rats rock. I want to see 90 minutes of rats. I love rats. So like I
know. I was thinking about I used to have rats like a long time ago, and they're not with me anymore. Rest in peace, Lasagna. That was my rat's name.
Did the rat like lasagna? Lasagna.
I from Ratatouille.
No, I got it from a sketchy pet store in my hometown, and because so many people bought them for rat food or for snake food, they just would like take random like microwave dinner boxes and put them in there and then give them to you. And she came in a lasagna box and like a Marie Callender's little like single thing lasagna box.
I'm having feelings about this. Wow. Okay. And on that note, I think it's time for Pick of the Week. Pick of the Week. There we go. Shanice's pick. It was Shanice. Tell us about the book that you had us read.
So, had y'all read 8 Billion Genies, where everybody on the planet gets a genie, and you only get one wish. And the first issue follows the first 8 minutes. So, of course, people are going to be like, "Woo, this is great." But obviously, see what happens in the issue is like, "Oh, this is not great."
It was not great at all.
So, I guess, what did y'all think about it? Did y'all like it, or was it like, what is this?
Go ahead, Bean.
I was just like, yeah, I loved it. That old bartender is so much smarter than me. That man was so smart. He's a genius. Oh my goodness. Like I said, I wouldn't use my wish because it's definitely somebody like who the writer of that comic like is also way smarter than me, because I would have never thought of that. Which I don't think it's a spoiler because this happens immediately, of like where he wishes that the wishes can't affect his bar or anything inside of it. I'm like, that's so smart.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And he's just like, yeah, I just been thinking about stuff real hard. I'm always ready. And I'm like, how are you ready for that? And I only got to read the first issue, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Shanice, have you read issue 4?
Yes. So
that twist.
So, Bean, I really do hope that you read the other issues.
Yeah, I plan to. Yeah.
It gets crazier and crazier. When you read issue 4, please message me and Jenna, because, man.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
Like what? It's like what? But yeah, what do you guys think of the designs for the genies?
They were adorable. Oh my gosh. I'm just reading throughout the whole thing, and they're kind of like, they look a little bit like the people that they're paired with. And then they have their own story going on in the background when everybody's having their conversations. I'm like, these two genies are just sitting here taking shots, throwing up, getting over their hangovers, kind of having sit down playing cards and coffee, and then they're drinking again. And all in the span of like 2 pages. Adorable. Sorry.
It's great. Yeah, I'm excited to read the rest of it. I only had the first one. But yeah, and I was kind of torn between trying to get the rest of them digitally, like I got the first one, and waiting for the trade. But now I think I might just get the rest of them single issue digital because I want them. I want to know. And also that drop in population in the first 8 seconds.
Oh my God.
A lot of people were just like, I wish you were dead. And then the person was
dead. And it wasn't just that. People were also wishing for like to be kaijus or to be like robots or to be, you know, something. Yeah. And they just went on a rampage. And it's like, bro, like a lot. Millions of people are dead in that first 8 minutes.
And seeing how different like the Earth looks. Like it has like beginning of the first page to like the ending, it's like, oh, okay, it's got little legs and a bow tie. All right, fine.
And it looks like it's giving up. I can't remember, is the first issue that Santa is in? Or is that
the first issue literally ends with like where they like look outside the bar and they're like, what the heck is going on? And then there's just like robots and lasers. Oh, and it goes through like little snippets of like a bunch of different people being like, I want to be able to teleport. I want to be able to have the love I always wanted. And it's like 2 hot alien ladies like on the dude.
And then it's like, I want more money than I could ever know what to do with. And she's just like swimming in money with her dog.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how does that work?
Yeah.
So what y'all think about like what happened, the wish that the band member made and what happened as a result?
That's her own fault. That's her own fault.
Oh yeah, like wishing that somebody has feelings for you. That's not how that works. Like maybe like magical wish land, but still that's like exactly like the guy said. He was like, you tried to force my feelings, like
you took away my free will, or you were trying to. And I was just like, oh
yeah. Which it is interesting to think, because like I said, I have trouble even imagining people being like, I know exactly what I want. Give me this, you know, like, because I would think about that for a long time. Like, probably forever until I just died one day. I'm with my genie, just still there. Like, but there were so many. I wonder, are there actually that many people in the world who would just be like, I want a giant robot?
There would be. Like, I want to be Superman. I want to be a giant robot. I want to be Godzilla. And you're just like, and then the people who wished for money, they were like, I want all the money. It's like, your money is now useless. Look at the world. Like, what would have happened if everybody would have wished that?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, what happened with all of the leaders of the world?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so was that in the first issue? I'm trying to remember.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
But that was actually really clever what the writer did. So Charles Soule, so he is a really good writer. Like I definitely recommend his other books. As a matter of fact, there is a funny curse words reference in the fourth issue that's really fun that he also wrote. And he also wrote She-Hulk, which is very appropriate right now. Would definitely recommend his friend. And he's also a lawyer as well. So dude's definitely
okay, so that makes sense. Some of the like logistics of some of the wishes, I was like, this is really like specific. Somebody must have written up a contract before. Okay. Being as soon as you read the rest of the issues, you're going to be texting one of us and be like, what? I'm like, I know.
Next week, we might have to have like a little mini post pick of the week. We'll see.
Be talking about this until it ends. And then when it ends, we'll just be like, no.
Yeah, that might be good. Oh, is it still ongoing? Like, so I just grabbed the first one and read it.
Yeah.
So it is a miniseries. Issue 4 just came out not like a week ago. And it did get optioned to be a film for Amazon. So I'm very curious to see how.
That's why it's selling out like crazy. Yeah. I actually had to get it digitally too, which I usually do both. I can't do both this time. All right, so it's my turn, right? It's my turn for pick of the week. So this is probably she's in my top 3 favorite characters, not just from Valiant, but overall. So she's got a little bit of everything. She's got like the confidence that's also kind of messy, just trying to figure out real life and have the confidence of being a superhero. And it's great. It is Faith, Hollywood, and Vine from Valiant. And this is the Hastings cover. But yeah, so I'm super excited for you guys to read about her. She's so what's so great about her is she's so optimistic and just loves to be a superhero. She's so happy that she can help people and save people and, help the world. She's like, oh my gosh, yay. People want me to help them. Like, yay. And like, she fills you with, her name is Faith. She fills you with faith in humanity. She fills you with hope. And like, and she's also known as the first plus size superhero. And she loves herself, even though people are on the streets like, why don't you lose some weight? And she's like, why don't you get a better view on life? I love you and will save you anyways. Oh, there's a building falling. Let me save you. Yes, I'm so excited for you guys to read. This one's Hollywood and Vine, Volume 1. Yes, and then there's the back. I'd vote for her for president. I really would. She's just, anytime where I feel like the world just feels a little heavy, I will pick up Faith and be like, all right, it's going to be okay. Everything is going to be okay. Yeah. So I can't wait for you guys to read it. It's so good. Cheese, have you read it before?
So I have read Faith. I'm just trying to remember if that's the volume that I have. Because I was gifted, a friend gifted it to me a couple years back, and I really do like the character because she's just so positive and bubbly, and her relationship with oh my gosh.
And she reads comics too.
Yeah, because she's dating Archer.
Yeah, she's married to him.
Oh, they're married now. Yeah, and they're a real couple.
Yes,
adorable.
They are married, and it's great because Archer's, partner Armstrong is like perma drunk, and Archer escaped from a cult, and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how these two people work, but it is beautiful. If they're not in game, I don't know what it is.
She's like the opposite of edgelord.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is, but like, I don't know, center squire. I don't know.
My God.
Whatever's the opposite of edgelord, it sounds like that's what Faith is. I'm really excited to read it.
Yeah, everybody knows how much I love horror comics and like slasher comics, but this is a good like refresher or like a palate cleanser.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like literally the opposite end of the spectrum of all the other books that I've had you guys read. But it's got great writing, and I think the person who was writing this, Jody Hauser, I think it was. I think this was their first one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at it again, but I think so. Well, all right, guys, we can't wait till we see you guys next week. Thank you for joining us. This is Shanice and being for Space Cadettes. Bye.
Bye.